what I really want to happen here. For volunteers and farmers to create their own story. So the story is not only about me as the founder, but everybody who comes here has their own story so that they can inspire other people. My personal vision for this is me to disappear and let the young people run it. You just start it. No? I'm 61 years old. I am not gonna be.
You don't look 61.
Well, it's because I love what I'm doing. This is my happiness. We call this actually our happy place. Yeah, I am Louie Ocampo-Gutierrez. I'm the farmer-in-chief of Urban Farmers PH. Overpopulated. A lot of people hungry. There's not enough space. Well, of course, it all happened during the pandemic. No? We all have our defining moments, which we call. And I think that really resonated with me during the pandemic when, I'm actually a jeweler. I've been a jeweler for the last 35 years. And my idea of living was, creating a lot of income. And of course, opening new shops and everything. And then when the pandemic closed, everything, you just remember that, at just one click, everything will be gone. But we also have to create things with purpose. Now we have this really wonderful, beautiful place. Well, we were taught in school about gardening. I think that is really my real exposure to farming. We were forced to learn how to garden in high school. During those times, that was one of the subjects. Well, I think as an entrepreneur, when you start something, you don't start something with paper. My mind is very active, so I wanted to have a proof of concept. Very important. You have to show something, to ask for something, and the thing is also, I want it sustainable. I didn't want to ask money from anyone. We have to create our own income so that we can show that, whether there's a grant or whatever, we're surviving. I think a lot of NGOs fail on that part. Well, that's how it is. This is where I get more people to be interested and find out on their own how they're gonna feel when they come here. The thing is, you have to pull them. We have to get them interested. That's why you said, why are you in BGC? Why are you not in probably Payatas or in the areas where many people think that they need this thing, I want it to be here because number one, who are the people here? They're the decision makers, right? If you are able to inspire the decision makers, the influencers, because people look up to them, people decide. So, they're the people who we need to work with so that we can get to the marginalized. If we go straight there to the marginalized, then who will know us? So we need to make sure that people come here and know about us. Also, what I really learned from this journey of the advocacy is, if you don't ask, you don't get. I think that's the, sometimes we all have our ideas of, we all want to do something good, but it's always in the head. We're always afraid to go one step further because most of the things that we'll say, I don't know how, I do not have time, or maybe other people will do it. But if we just step forward and do it, then, a lot of things can really happen. So I always said, when your intentions are clear, amazing things happen. So I think it's really why I am here. Why am I here in BGC? It's because my intentions are clear. And people really see that. People see that, no? I'm sure you said, there are so many NGOs there. But I really think we're different, We don't get grants from anyone. We don't market, sponsor anything. People just come here. And the experience of being in a happy place is the inspiration that we want so that the advocacy grows. Of course, we owe Fort Bonifacio Development Corp for lending us the property. But aside from that, they gave us a free hand on doing the things that we do. So we don't need to ask permission from anybody. Whatever I thought, in the middle of the night, I would wake up my wife and I said, I have an idea. Then the next day, let's do it. I think that's me as an entrepreneur. You think of all the things and then you take the risk. And then, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. But if you don't take that risk, if you don't try it, nothing happens. So this is the evolution of the organization from a very simple idea of the 5 pillars that we were talking about. It really evolves. So when you look at the farm, if we started 4 years ago in this space, it really looks a lot different because we keep evolving, we keep developing, we keep adding new things, we keep working with new partners, we keep sharing ideas. So an organization like that evolves, inspires more, it continues, to bring more happiness to people. Oh yeah, of course. From day one, the organization has been transparent. I don't hide anything from anybody. Of course, I don't get paid here. No? So everybody, all of the people here, we have 12 farmers, and of course Marian. They're all paid. Everybody's paid here. That's why it looks really nice. But of course, we have volunteers, and nothing is hidden. And especially even like we don't have sales today. Guys, you need to sell. That's me as an entrepreneur. You don't want to be asking from anybody about where to get your money. But knock on wood, for 4 years, I think these things are really important when you do an NGO. You create your own income so that it becomes sustainable and you can think of ways on how to improve, how to be more relevant to the people you're inspiring. There are just a few people in government who have been really supportive. One of them was the Bureau of Plant Industry, but not in form of funding and stuff, but sharing materials and ideas. And of course, we're also happy that towards the middle of this advocacy, we've been awarded as a learning site for agriculture by the Agriculture Technical Institute, which is, imagine there's an agriculture school in the city. But it definitely has given jobs to agriculturists who'd like to work in Manila. They're here as agriculturists. When we started with this advocacy, I started in our village in Makati. And during that time, there were naysayers all over. You cannot build a farm in the village. It's gonna be noisy, it's gonna be dirty, it's gonna be smelly. There were all of these things not gonna happen. So I created these 5 pillars. Number 1 is to give jobs to displaced workers. So that was a check. Number 2 is to make creative use of food and materials waste. So whatever you see here most of the materials that we use here are 80% recycled. And even of course the soil, we never use chemicals. Number 3 is whatever income that we use here, that we do, will go to the operations of the farm and of course to the other charitable institutions. So we're doing it in other communities also who will not be able to afford. And then number 4 is to create a community where there's love of food and gardening. So we've been inviting chefs here, we've been having private events here. Students from culinary schools have been learning about, the different herbs and spices that they can actually use. Before they would only know them as powdered or dried herbs. Now they can see the whole, even doctors, not only for food but also for the food for the soul, the medicine. Yeah. And of course, the most important thing is to look for unused land so that we can create temporary farms. So all of this, you know, there was a check on everything. And now, 5 years later, and we're gonna be saying goodbye to this wonderful place. And I said, you know, we were able to check all of those. So, you know, I really think that, you know, this has been really a successful project. And if we can do it, me as a non-farmer, me as a, you know, a regular person can do it, why not? Why not the others, you know? Let's better think about it, you know. That is also the big question, if it's a moving to, but you know, I think the advocacy has grown, and I know there's something good that's gonna happen. I did not know that this was gonna be successful, so I cannot tell you now what's gonna happen in the next 5 years, because me, I just think and I do. If we think and we do, then it's gonna happen. But if we keep on thinking and we're not doing anything, then not gonna happen. It's not sadness that I'm feeling right now, because I know that change is a door for opportunities. This was the change that happened during the pandemic, and there's a new change that is coming, and I'm really excited, you know. I am really excited with what's to come up next. I think when we get out of our comfort zones, that's when, you know, a lot of doors open. And I guess we're ready for that. We are ready for that.